I want to let you know we've restocked all your favorites on the merch site. Everything is in stock. You can show up, theovanstore.com, and thank you so much for the support. I have some new tour dates to tell you about. I'll be in Chicago, Illinois on April 24th at the Wintrust Arena, Fort Wayne, Indiana on April 26th at the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum, and Miami, Florida on May 10th at the Kaseya Center. Get your tickets early starting Wednesday, February 19th at 10 a.m. with pre-sale code RATKING. We also have tickets remaining in East Lansing, Victoria, BC in the Canada, College Station, Belton, Texas, Oxford, Mississippi, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Nashville, Tennessee, Winnipeg in the Canada, and Calgary in the Canada. All tickets at theovon.com/TOUR. Today's guest is from Los Alamos, New Mexico. He's a leader in the world of business and technology. He's an entrepreneur. He started Scale AI, a company recently valued at $14 billion. He started it when he was only 19. And at 24, he became the youngest self-made billionaire in the world. We talk about his company, the future of AI, and the role it plays in our human existence. This was super educational for me. I hope it is for you. I'm grateful for his time. Today's guest is Mr. Alexandr Wang. Alexandr Wang, man, thanks for hanging out, bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to see you, dude.
Last time was at the inauguration.
Yeah, what'd you think of that? Like, what were your thoughts after you left? Because you and I ended up, we like left out of there and then went and got lunch together, which was kind of crazy.
It was, there was a lot going on. Yeah, were you there the whole weekend?
No, I just got there the morning of the inauguration.
Yeah.
Were you there the whole weekend?
I was there the whole weekend. Yeah, no, I mean, I think at least for what we do, like for AI, the new administration is really excited about it and wants to make sure that we get it right as a country. So that was all great, but it was kind of a crazy, the whole like event, like everything was pretty crazy. I don't know, what'd you think?
I mean, when I saw Conor McGregor show up, that's when I was like, where are we? That's what like the most bizarre. I mean, you were there, Sam Altman was there. I was just like, it was like, whoa, what happened here? And part of that's because Alex Bruchowitz, you know.
Totally, yeah.
I mean, it's all because of him that we all went, but just the fact that he would bring these people together, it kind of makes you question.
Crossover. It's like in those like TV shows when you have those crossover episodes.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it felt
Oh,
like.
yeah, when like the Harlem Globetrotters, and it would be like them versus like the Care Bears or whatever would show up.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
you're like, this seems... some cross-pollination. What'd you think when Conor showed up? Was that strange to see him? Like, was there somebody you thought that was strange, like unique to see there for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, you, Connor, like the Pauls, I don't know, the whole thing was pretty crazy for me. I see Sam all the time, and I see some of the tech people all the time. I mean, it was funny crossover, and it was obviously like so many people flew in to be able to go to like the outdoor inauguration, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there were so many people in the city. We ran into them, obviously, but like there were so many people in DC who were just around for the inauguration. So it was a...
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. There was a couple 100,000 people probably that just got kind of displaced in a way. And suddenly they're just in bars or whatever, just like buying like, there was like people I saw walking just adult onesies and shit that said Trump or on the back. Just crazy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for coming in, man. I'm excited to learn about AI. I know that that's a world that you're in. You're in the tech universe. And you're from New Mexico, right?
Yeah.
And so when you grew up there, did you have like a strong sense of like science and technology? Was that like part of your world? Like, did your parents like lead you into that? Like, what was just some of your youth like there?
Yeah, so both my parents are physicists, and there's
Oh, damn.
I grew up in this town called Los Alamos, where there's a national lab there. Did you watch Oppenheimer?
Yeah.
Yeah. So all the New Mexico shots in Oppenheimer, that's exactly where I grew up.
Oh, dang.
So it was like originally where all the scientists came together and did all the work at the atomic bomb. And there's still this huge lab. That's basically everybody I knew effectively like their parents worked at the lab or somehow affiliated with the lab.
It's like Nukeville over there, huh?
Nukeville, yeah.
Is it scary like that?
It was, Does
it add a level of mystery? Like, is your prom like last night under the stars or something? Like,
there's this one museum. Well, the funny thing is, like, first you learn the story of the atomic bomb and the Manhattan Project, like basically every year growing up, because there's always like a day or a few days where there's a substitute teacher and they just play the videos. So you're just like
an alcoholic or something. yeah. A recreational user, we'll use that term. That's crazy that just like every year you guys have like just like blast it Thursdays or whatever, and it's just
you're just learning. You're learning again about the Manhattan Project, and then there's a little museum in town, which is like you walk through and there's like a life-size replica of the nukes. So it's pretty wild, yeah.
And where did they drop the atomic bombs on? They dropped them on Asia, right? Hiroshima?
They dropped them in Japan. Yeah, Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Is it crazy being like semi-Asia, part Asian?
Yeah. My parents are Chinese.
Oh, nice, man. Is it crazy being Asian and then having that happen to Asian people with the bomb? Like, is that a weird thing there? Or it's nothing.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think the thing is like, so I didn't grow up with very many Asians because in that town it was, it's in New Mexico. There's very few Asians in New Mexico. So I was one of the only Asian kids in my class growing up. And so I didn't think that much about it, honestly. But then but it is super weird. You grow up and you learn about this very advanced technology that had this like really, really big impact on the world. And I think that shaped...
Yeah, it's like the scientific John Jones over there, really. He's New Mexican, isn't he?
He lives in Albuquerque, yeah.
Oh, he does?
I think he does, yeah.
Oh, sweet, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you're there. There's this energy always there of this creation. And so probably the possibility of creation maybe was always in the air. I'm just wondering, like, how did you get formed, kind of, Like, what's your origin story, kind of?
It was super scientific because there were all these like presentations around what were the new kinds of science that were going on at the lab. So there's all these chemistry experiments and these different like earth science experiments and physics experiments. And my mom studied like plasma and like how plasma worked inside of stars and stuff like that. So it was just the wildest stuff. And you would talk to I would talk to my classmates or I'd talk to their parents about what they're working on. It was always some crazy science thing. So that was really cool because everybody in that town basically they're all working on some kind of crazy scientific thing. And so you kind of, I feel like I grew up feeling like, anything was possible in that way. Like,
yeah, because the rest of us in other communities, shitty communities or whatever, we're just making that volcano or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We're doing like grassroots level bullshit, Dang, that's got to be wild. So you see somebody just sneaking behind an alley and buying a bit of uranium and shit like that in your neighborhood. That's got to be kind of unique.
I remember there was someone from our town who did a science fair project called it's called like Great Balls of Plasma. And literally for the science fair, this was in like high school. For the science fair, they made like huge balls of plasma in their garage. And I was like, what the heck? Like, we're all just doing this in high school?
Damn. So did you feel competitive or did you just feel like hyper capable? Like, did you feel like kind of advanced just in your studies? Like when you were young, like in class, you're like, oh, some of this stuff's kind of coming easy to me?
I ended up, what I did is I ended up getting really competitive about math in particular.
Yeah.
And so my sport was math, which is kind of crazy to
Algebrazy, son. I know, I feel you.
And it was because when I was in middle school, when I was in 6th grade, there was this one math competition where if you got top 4 in the state of New Mexico, then you would get an all expense paid trip to Disney World. And I remember as a 6th grader, like that was the most motivating thing I could possibly imagine was like an all expense paid trip to Disney World.
Yeah.
And then
Did you win it?
I won it. I got 4th place, so I snuck in there.
Qualifier.
Snuck in.
Yeah.
And then we went to Florida to Disney World, and I hadn't traveled, like I didn't travel around too much growing up. Like I mostly was in New Mexico, and we did some road trips around the Southwest. So I remember getting to Florida, and it was extremely humid. It was like I never felt what humidity felt like when I landed in Florida. I was like, oh, this feels bad. And then
it definitely does. Yeah, it's funny because I grew up in humid, dude. Like you try to shake somebody's hand, you couldn't even land it because there was just not enough viscosity, just too much lube in a handshake. You'd sit there for 10 minutes trying to land a handshake, you know? Everybody was always dripping, you know, all the time. You always thought they were scared or something, or they were kind of geeked up off a gas station dope or something, but people were it was humid. Yeah, you get really humid over there.
So then I became a mathlete. That was like a big part of my identity, was being a mathlete, and I would.
And you have to wear a vest. Like, what do you guys do? Is there a uniform for that? Or
well, you have a calculator. Okay, so everyone had their favorite calculator.
Okay, you got that Draco on you, baby. I feel you keep strapped. Yeah, you stay strapped at that thing.
And then, but outside of that, not really. I mean, like everyone had their favorite, like, pencil. You know, your pencil, your calculator, that was your gear. And but yeah, no, I was like a nationally ranked mathlete for middle school, high school. That was my jam. Yeah.
And what's this math circle like? Wow, that's crazy, dude. So you go to are there competitions you go to with that?
There's competitions, yeah. There's like state level competitions, there's national level competitions. There's like these summer camps, math camp. I went to math camp a bunch of times.
Damn.
Where you convene with like-minded mathletes.
Oh, damn, okay. Wow, fucking wizards in the park. A couple dudes fucking fighting over a common denominator in the lobby. That's crazy, bro.
But just like any other sport, like it's competitive. Yeah. You know, you gotta win. And so you're chummy with everyone, but you're also like, who's gonna win, you know?
Yeah. No, dude, competition's amazing, man. That's one thing that's so nice, I think, about when you're young, is like if you're involved in a sport or a group or whatever it was, just that chance to be competitive, you know?
Yeah.
What were like some of the competitions at the math thing? Like what's a math competition like when you get there?
So the ones in the middle school were actually more fun because there's almost like a Jeopardy style buzzer competition and stuff like that. But in once you get to high school, it's just you just take a test, and it's like the biggest one in America is called the USAMO.
Bring it up. USMO?
USAMO.
Okay.
And it's like people all around the country take this test. Mm-hmm. And there's
United States of American Mathematical Olympiad. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. A participant must be either a U.S. citizen or a legal resident of the U.S. Okay. Okay, go on.
And then it's a 9-hour test. Damn. It's split over 2 days. It's 9 hours. It's 4.5 hours, and it's 9 hours, and you have 6 problems. So it's kind of nerve-wracking. And you get in there, you have 4.5 hours the first day, 4.5 hours the second day.
Can you cheat in between the days? Can you just go home and...
No, because you only get 3 questions the first day, and then you only get 3 questions the next day.
They figured it out.
I remember the first time I took it. I was in 8th grade. First time I took it, and I was like so nervous, and I brought a thermos full of coffee, and I drank so much coffee that like those 4.5 hours felt like year. It was like I was so jittery the whole time. It was crazy.
Dang, you out there rattling, brother. Oh, integers make me rattle, brother. I feel you on that. Dude, so that's pretty, so you're competitive, and so you get out of there, and you're obviously, I guess, admired in the world of math, probably, or that's like a thing that like that you can point, that's like a pin a feather in your cap. So that helps you get into MIT, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So then, in MIT, on the MIT admissions, they ask for your like competitive math scores. So if you're
so you knew a lot of kids going there probably because it was
tons of kids. Yeah. Wow. Tons of kids. It was like a reunion. It was like math camp reunion.
Damn, because I was wondering where all y'all were at, dude, because we were doing some other shit. You know what I'm saying? We were not. God, that's where all the smart kids were. That's fascinating, man.
And so then, I was at MIT, and then MIT is like a really intense school because the classes they don't fuck around with. They just really like they load you up with tons of work, and most of the time they load you up with like huge amounts of work, and you don't really know what's going on initially, and so you're just kind of like you're just trying to make it through. But there's this motto that MIT has called IHTFP. Which among the students stands for "I hate this fucking place."
Oh yeah, it's heavy, huh?
Yeah, but then the school when you go, they tell you, it stands for "I've truly found paradise." So
so a couple differences of opinion.
Yeah.
Damn. So it's really severe there. There's a lot of work. They load you down out of the gate.
You do a lot of work, but it's kind of awesome. I mean, because I think the students really band together. Instead of it being competitive, really, MIT is much more about like everybody kind of like coming together, working on problems together, working on homework together, and just kind of like making it through together.
What's that social life like there? Like, are you dating? You going to parties? What's that like for you at that time?
It's a bunch of parties because people like MIT. There's a lot of people who like tinkering with gadgets. So like tinkering with like lights and big speakers and DJ sets and all this stuff. So actually, the parties are pretty good because they're like the production value is high. The production quality is high.
Damn. And then what about when the science kids come through, the lab dogs? Are people making like unique drugs? Was there like designer drugs that were being created by actual people? Like just because, what I'm saying? Like my friends in college, none of us would know how to do that, but there may be somebody at a more prestigious school that would know how. Was that a thing even, or is that just...
There was one part of the campus called East Campus, where it was more fringe. Mm-hmm. And so there was like, at one point in the school year, in their courtyard, they would build a gigantic catapult, like a huge catapult.
Like a trebuchet?
Like a trebuchet, yeah. What's the difference? I don't know what the difference.
Yeah, let's get the difference there because people need to know this anyway. For decades now, people have been.
A trebuchet has a rope attached to the end of it that flings it, where a catapult just launches it.
No, it was a catapult then.
Okay.
Like because there was a big like ice cream scooper.
Oh yeah.
Looking thing that would fling it.
And what are they just flinging Adderall into the rest of the campus?
They would fling stuff into the river, which I don't think. Now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like I don't know what this giant like catapult things. Yeah.
And so this was like a event that would go on and people would kind of rave there. What are you saying?
Yeah, they would do this. They would do other things. They would build a lot of stuff over there. And there would be
like people that ended up at Burning Man later on.
Yes. That was core Burning Man. Like there was a satanic ritual floor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of like it's fringe. Cool. It's cool.
Right.
But so there's all these parties. We bragged at MIT that people from all the neighboring schools, because Boston is a huge college town, like tons of
Boston's an amazing city.
Yeah, but no, MIT was fun. But I was at MIT for 1 year.
Right, and you dropped out. Is that safe to say?
Yeah.
Okay, you dropped out, and then you got into the AI world. Is that kind of a safe bridge to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there, and I want to ask this because I know Mark Zuckerberg dropped out of college. You dropped out of college. Both of you guys have had success in tech and kind of forward thinking, that sort of world. Is there something in college that you felt like didn't nurture you, or did you just feel like this isn't the place for me? Do you feel like college doesn't nurture a certain type of thinker, or was it just a personal choice?
I think for me, it was like I was just feeling really impatient. And I don't really know why really, but I remember I was in school the first year. It was really fun and I really enjoyed it. But then I remember, in the year when I was at MIT was one of the first, it was like one of the early big moments in AI, because it was, I don't even remember this, but there was an AI that beat the world champion at Go. This was in 2015, when I was in college.
At Go, and that was a game?
Yeah, Go, it's like a big checkerboard with like white and black stones. Mm-hmm. It's like and it was this game. AlphaGo versus Lee Sedol.
So AlphaGo versus Lee Sedol, also known as the DeepMind Challenge match, was a 5-game Go match between top Go player Lee Sedol and AlphaGo, a computer Go program developed by DeepMind, played in Seoul, South Korea between 9th and 15th of March 2016.
That was confusing how that's written.
It is very confusing, huh?
That's
You think
confusing,
that we got to... AlphaGo won all but the 4th game. All games were won by resignation. The match has been compared with the historic chess match between Deep Blue and Garry Kasparov. The winner of the match was slated to win $1 million. Since AlphaGo won, Google DeepMind stated that the prize would be donated to charities, including UNICEF and USAID. That's just a joke. That's just. But Lee received $150,000 for playing. So this was a big moment because this had never kind of happened before.
Never happened, yeah. And it was a big moment for AI. It was like, oh wow, this stuff is like, it's really happening. And so then this happened in March, and I guess I dropped out, started my company in May. So I guess 2 months after this, that's what the game looks like.
I've played this game before.
It's honestly, it's a really I'm not very good at the game.
It's a little more fun than playing chess, unless you're like, into like Renaissance Fair board games or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we got you. You're loose, dude. You're out of the school and you're in the world. You see, did that match, did realizing that kind of like spurn you to want to leave school, or was that just something that happened around the same time?
It kind of did. Basically, it was. I remember feeling like, oh wow, AI, it's happening. And this was back in 2016, so like 9 years ago.
Okay.
And then I felt like I had to, basically that inspired me to start my company. Mm-hmm. And I basically went straight from, I remember this, I flew straight from Boston to San Francisco and then started the company basically.
And that's Scale AI.
Scale AI.
Okay. And so had you been following AI? Like, what are your kind of, or you just like knew like this is where it's going? Like you just felt there was something, an instinct that you trusted, or like, because that's a big thing to do.
I was stuck. So I took all the AI classes at MIT.
Okay. So you already learning a lot about it.
Yep. And then there was one class where you had to, like on all the classes, you had to do side projects or final projects of some kind. And in one of them, I wanted to build a camera inside my refrigerator that would tell me when my roommates were stealing my food.
Wang, boy, catching them. Wang, boy. Wow.
And but then so I worked on that, and then there was one moment where I was like, there was a moment that clicked where I was trying to build this thing, and then there was one step that was like too easy. I was like, whoa, that just worked right there. And then that happened, and then the Go match happened, and I was like, this stuff is happening. And so
Did you ever market those refrigerators? Did you ever actually create that?
I didn't market them, no.
Dude, I could totally see that, bro. There's a refrigerator. Every dorm has it where there's a camera built in, and you just you get a notification on your phone, You're like, damn, Adnan's got my hummus, But you got video of him right there, dude. That's a great idea.
Yeah,
I love that.
That was college me. Yeah.
Okay, so Alexandr Wang, he's free in the world now. He's headed to San Francisco. He's AI'd up. He feels the energy. He's motivated by some of the classes he took. He's motivated by seeing that AI is starting to actually overtake humans, right? Or be able to compete with actual human thinking with the chess match.
Yeah, the way I would think about it, or the way I thought about it at the time was like, this is becoming people have been talking about AI for decades. Like it's kind of always been one of these things that people have said, oh, it's going to happen, but it never really was happening. And it felt like it was, it was really about to happen.
About artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've always heard about artificial intelligence. That's what I have. So I've always been like,
no, you have real intelligence, not artificial, real intelligence.
I think it's probably a mix, but I see what you're saying, you know what I thought of the other day? It was like, what if they had like a Mexican version and it was like, I don't know if that's a good joke or not, but thank you. It's a nice laugh. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. What are some of your relationship green flags? That's a good question. What are things you notice in your relationship that are like, yes, this is positive, this is good, we're headed in the right direction? We often hear about the red flags we should avoid, but what if we focused more on looking for green flags in friends and partners? If you're not sure what they look like, therapy can help you identify green flags, actively practice them in your relationships, and embody the green flag energy yourself. I've personally benefited from therapy over the years. I think one of the things it's helped me with is just noticing some of my patterns, noticing when I let something small turn into something big and being able to cut it off at the pass so it doesn't happen anymore. BetterHelp can help you. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable and convenient, serving over 5 million people worldwide. Discover your relationship's green flags with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Theo to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/THEO. Are you struggling to keep your website and digital marketing up to date while running your business? Now you can relax and binge on unlimited web design services with Modify. Enjoy unlimited support, a quick turnaround, and your own designated designer. Modify has done my website for years, and they're incredible. Sign up with Modify today. They make life easier and business better. Visit modify.com/Theo. That's modiphy.com/THEO for 50% off. The last website you'll ever need. That's modify.com/Theo. What is AI?
Yeah. So AI is all about, basically programming computers to be able to start thinking like humans. So, traditional computer programming, it's pretty bare bones. It's not very smart. And so AI is all about, can you build algorithms that start to be able to think like people and replicate some of the, like, our brains are these incredible things, and that's evolution. That's just biology that created our brains. And so it's all about how can we build something similar to that or replicate it using computers and machines. And so the whole, the whole modern AI era really started around an area called computer vision. But it was like, how can we first get computers to see like humans do? So one of the very first AI projects was this thing called ImageNet, and later AlexNet, and it was basically, can you get computer programs to, like, given a photo, to tell you what's in that photo?
I see. So just like a human would, like if you showed them this,
Yep.
So then you're starting to train them to have a perspective.
Yeah, train them to. Well, actually, originally, you could, like, let's say you took a photo of this bottle. A machine wouldn't even be able to tell you what's in the photo. It would just know what the pixels were, but it wouldn't be able to tell you, like, oh, there's a bottle in that photo. Mm-hmm. So one of the first AI breakthroughs was when YouTube built an algorithm that could tell when there were cats in their videos, and that was like in like 2012 or 2011, this was like this mind-blowing breakthrough that you could like figure out. You could like use an algorithm to figure out when there was a cat inside a video. And so AI, it started pretty simply with just how do we replicate, vision? Like, how do you replicate like basically the fact that our eyes and our brains can like process all this imagery coming in? And that really led to, I think, one of the first major use cases of AI, which is self-driving cars. So this was when I started the company in 2016, self-driving cars were all the rage because it was, there were all these like skunkworks projects.
When you started Scale AI, you mean?
Yeah, when I started Scale AI.
When you kind of got into AI,
Yep.
At that time, self-driving cars are the most popular things.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
That was all the rage. And so it was all about, can we start building algorithms that can drive a car like a human would and do it safely and do it, more efficiently? And that way, instead of, that was one of the first major areas.
Okay.
And then now, the whole industry has moved so fast, but then all of a sudden we got ChatGPT and we got, more advanced stuff more recently that is able to talk like a human or sort of think like a human. And so it's really come pretty far recently, but all of it is about how do you build algorithms, how to use machines to be able to think like a person.
Okay. And is it say if I opened a door, we keep the AI in there. Is it a computer? Is it a program? Is it a hard drive? What is that?
Yeah. So there's two parts. There's two parts to it. So the first part is you need really advanced chips. So you need these, they're called GPUs or sometimes called TPUs, or there's a lot of different words for it, but you need the most advanced computer chips in the world.
Okay.
And
how big is each one? Do you know?
Or
can you measure it like that?
The biggest ones are actually the whole chips are pretty
brick.
big, but they're like a wafer kind of thing. But then you put a lot of them all together.
Okay.
So these exactly. Wow. These chips, and the biggest ones are exactly.
That's a little one.
That's a little one. There's really big ones.
Okay. But these are the brain cells of it.
Yep. These are the brains behind it. Yeah. So then exactly. Those are some big ones. So then
you have to have a lot of these chips.
So you need a ton of these chips, and that's kind of that's the physical presence. And then by the way, they take a huge amount of energy. They're really you have to do a lot of calculations, and there's a lot of math that has to happen on them. And so and you have giant, basically, data centers, buildings full of tons and tons of those chips, just in giant rows.
How big are we talking? Warehouses?
Yeah, the biggest one. Elon's data center Colossus is it's probably more than 1 million. It's definitely more than 1 million square feet. It's just
what?
Huge.
Really?
Yeah. Look up Colossus.
I've never known this.
Yeah. That you see that building with the sunset?
Second row?
Yeah. There you go.
There?
Or the one to the left.
Oh no.
Yeah.
There you go.
That one. Yeah. Look, it's like a huge ass building.
What?
It's huge, and all of that's just filled with chips.
Have you ever been in there?
I haven't been in that one, but I've been in some of these, and it's just
this is what it looks like inside?
Yeah, basically, yeah. So It's just rows and rows of chips. So
no plants or anything.
Yeah, no plants. It gets hot in there.
I bet.
So the first part is just that's the physical presence, and then the second part are the algorithms. So then you have on top of those chips, you have software that's running, and the algorithms are just what you actually are telling. What's the math that you're telling to happen on the chips, and those algorithms are some of the most complicated algorithms that humans have ever come up with, and that's kind of the software part, or that's the part that exists on the internet, or you can download or whatnot, and then it has to be run on these huge warehouses of giant chips.
Okay. So when someone goes to Scale AI or Chat GPT, these are all AI interfaces, or what are they?
So Chat GPT is a way to be able to you can talk to the algorithm.
Okay.
So you can start interacting directly with the algorithm. You can see how the algorithm is thinking.
So you could say to this, can you describe the weather today?
Exactly. Yeah.
And if you said that to 5 different AI companies, basically,
or AI algorithms, different AI systems. Yeah.
So if you said that's 5 different AI systems, you might get a little bit of a varied answer.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
You'll get because they all are trying to have their own style and have their own vibe to it.
Interesting.
And then what we do, what Scale AI is all about, is we've kind of built the almost like the Uber of AI.
Okay.
So a lot of what we're trying to do is how do we help produce data that is improving these algorithms? And just like how Uber, there's
okay, you're losing me there a little.
Yeah.
It's okay. But if I slow down, if you're losing me, explain that to me a little bit clearer for me.
Yeah. So with these algorithms, one key ingredient for these algorithms is data.
Okay. So you have the chips and everything that are storing all the information.
Yep.
That are storing the data.
Yep.
And then you have the algorithms that are helping mediate between the user and the data.
Yeah, so basically you kind of have you have three key pieces.
Okay.
So you have the computational power, so the chips. You have the chips. You have the data, which is like just tons and tons of data that's where the algorithms are learning the patterns from. Okay. So these algorithms, they don't just learn to talk randomly. They learn it from learning to talk from how humans talk, right?
Got it.
So you need tons and tons of data. And then you have the algorithms which learn from all that data, and then they run on top of the chips.
Got it.
So then one of the big challenges in the industry is, okay, how are you going to produce all this data? And so this is...
how are you going to get data for your system? Like, how do you farm the best data?
How do you build all that data, and how do you do that in the most effective way? How do you build new data?
And clean data, because what if you get a bunch of data in there that's just a bunch of advertisements and bullshit? Will that affect the output?
100%. Yeah, that definitely affects the output. So this whole data, data is some people say like data is the new oil or data is the new gold. Like data is really, really valuable because it's how the algorithms are learning everything that they're learning. Like anything that the algorithms know or learn or say or do, all that has to come from the data that goes into it.
Okay, so if I ask a system, an AI system, a question, or ask it to help me with something, help me to design something or to curate an idea, it's going to use the data that it has within it to respond to me and help me give me an answer that I can use. And the data it has in it is only based upon the data that is put into it.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of so then we don't spend enough time talking about how are you going to get this data and how are you going to keep making new data. So the angle that we took at scale was to kind of turn this into an opportunity for people. So we're kind of like the Uber for AI. So just like how Uber, you have riders and drivers. For us, we have the AI systems, the algorithms that need data, and then we have a community of people, a network of people who help produce the data that go into the systems, and they get paid to do that.
Oh, so they're almost data farming, like creating good data?
Or creating good data, exactly.
Interesting.
So and it's huge. It's like so we do this through our platform called Outlier.
Okay.
And Outlier last year, contributors, we call them, contributors on Outlier earned about $500 million total across everybody. In the US, that's across 9,000 different towns. So
it created a lot of jobs for people.
A lot of jobs.
Okay, and so what would... so Scale was your company.
Scale
it's
AI.
An AI system.
Yep.
Is that right?
So we... Scale AI is an AI system. Yep.
Okay. And then Outlier is a separate company that works with it.
Yep.
And that is where you are hiring people?
We basically...
To pull in data.
Yeah. We build this platform that anybody... a lot of people, frankly, all around the world, but Americans too, can log on and help build data that goes into the algorithms and get paid to do so.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how does a user do that? Like, what is an example of somebody who's helping build data for an AI database?
Yeah. Let's say you're a nurse. Like you're a nurse with like tons of experience. So you know a lot about how to take care of people. And take care of people who are sick or have issues and whatnot. And so you could log onto the system and our platform, and you could see that the algorithm is let's say you ask the algorithm like, hey, I have a pain in my stomach. What should I do? And you notice that the algorithm says the wrong thing. Like the algorithm says, oh, just hang out and it'll go away.
Yeah.
And as a nurse, like, that's wrong. Like you have to go to the emergency room because you might have appendicitis or you might have something really bad. And so you would, as a nurse, you would go in and you would basically correct all these mistakes that the AI system has. And then that would then feed it back into the algorithm so that's smarter the next time. So it's kind of this continual process of, and there's versions of that for whatever your expertise is or whatever, you know more about than
Anything, everything.
Yeah, everything, exactly. Wow. So
people get paid for that?
Yeah, they get paid.
And how do you know if their information is valuable or not?
Well, we don't want spam, obviously. So we have a lot of systems to make sure that people aren't spamming and that, like you're saying, it's not garbage that's going into the algorithms. So we have kind of like people check the work of other people to make sure that the AI systems are really good, and we have some like automated systems that check this stuff. But for the most part, it's really broad. Like we want experts in anything.
Everything. Shellfish, train tracks, whatever.
Yeah.
Gelatin.
Exactly.
Everything. Childhood, death, or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
Stars, galaxies, whatever. Animals. Big animals. Yeah. Damn.
So
wow. So it's kind of like your data is almost like an ocean or a body of water, and different places are going to be able to keep their body of water cleaner or dirtier, and different infections could get in, different spyware, all types of stuff. So, and if you have really a clean body of water, then you're going to be able to offer a clean data or a certain type of data to people who are using your AI platform.
Exactly.
Does that make sense or not?
Yeah, totally. And our job is like, how do we make sure that this body of water is as clean as possible and we fill it up as much as possible, that it has as much information about everything across the globe?
Wow. So is there almost a race for information right now in a weird way, or no? Is that not it?
There a little bit, yeah. I think that there's a race for
how are different AI systems competing against each other? And sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no. So it goes back to the three things I mentioned. So there's kind of like three dimensions that they're all competing against one another. One is chips. Mm-hmm. So who has the most advanced chips? Who is the biggest buildings of chips? Like who has the most chips that they're utilizing? Data. So the kind of body of water, whose body of water is better, cleaner, healthiest, biggest, etc. And then the last is algorithms. So and this is where the scientists really come in. It's like, okay, who's coming up with the cleverest algorithms, or who has like a trick on an algorithm that somebody else doesn't have? Like who's doing that to basically make the AI learn better off of the data that it has?
Wow. God, I'm in the future right now. That's so, man, it's so crazy. And I think AI scares people because the future scares people, right? It's like, that's one of the scariest things sometimes is the future. So I think a lot of times you associate, because a lot of times when people mention AI, there's a little bit of fear, it seems like, from people.
Yeah.
There's fear that it's going to take jobs. There's fear that it's going to take over our ability to think for ourselves. Yeah, there's just kind of some general uncertainty there. Like, is this, and it kind of feels like fear a lot of times, but a lot of times fear is just a lack of knowledge, right? And not a lack of knowledge because you didn't want to know, just because you don't know.
Yeah.
Or that you're dumb, but just because you don't know. What are positive things that we're going to see with AI, right? I want to start there.
Yeah. So I think first, like, the AI industry, we don't do the best job explaining this. And I think sometimes we make it seem all sci-fi and genuinely we're part of the problem in making it seem scary, right? But one thing, for example, is like, I think AI is actually going to create a ton of jobs. And that story is not told enough. But, these jobs that we're producing, or this sort of this opportunity that we're providing on our platform, Outlier, like that's only going to grow as AI grows. So
because you have to have new data.
You have to have new data.
And the only place you can get new data is from people. Will at a certain point would the system be able to create, it can probably matriculate data, or matriculate, is that with birthing, or what is that?
Yeah, it just moves through like.
Okay. It can probably like quantify and give you answers, but can AI create new data?
No. So I think, it can do a little bit of that. So AI can help itself create its own data and help itself a little bit. But ultimately, most of the progress is going to come from, people who are able to help really the model get better and smarter and more capable at all these different areas.
Yeah, I didn't see that part of it. I didn't understand that we are the ones who are giving it information. And since we're going to continue to learn, I would assume that we would be able to help it continue to help it learn.
Yeah, and the world's going to keep changing, and we're going to need to be able to keep teaching the algorithms keep teaching the models about how the world's changing. So, this is actually a big thing that I think most people don't understand. The people who are getting the opportunity now, who are earning money from it, see it. But as AI grows, there's actually going to be tons of jobs created along the way and tons of opportunity for people to help improve AI systems or control AI systems or overall sort of be a part of the technology, not just sort of disenfranchised by it.
Okay.
So
So do you feel like are other ways, like if you had to look into the future a little bit, right? So you have the fact that people are going to be able to add more data, right?
Yep.
And add nuances to data.
Yep.
Right. And probably humanize data a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
And then you're also going to have what?
I think you're going to have a lot of jobs around, as AI starts doing all these little things throughout the world, who's going to keep watch of those AI and who's going to make sure that those AI aren't doing something that we don't want them to do. So almost like managing the AIs and keeping watch over all the AI systems, that's going to be another thing that we're going to have to do. And then it's
so somebody to kind of guide the river a little bit.
Yeah.
At a certain point, guide the stream, stay in there, watch, make sure that answers are correct, make sure the information is honest.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think, for example, we're not going to just have AIs going around and, buying stuff and doing crazy things and we're gonna keep it controlled, right? Like as a society, I think we're gonna keep it controlled as a technology, and I think there's gonna be a lot of jobs for people to make sure that the AI doesn't go out and do crazy things that we don't want it to do.
Right. So you're gonna need managers, you're gonna need facilitators.
Yeah, okay. Exactly.
What are things that AI will alleviate? Like, what are things that will it eventually be able to have enough information, or data, where it can cure diseases and stuff like that? Like, is that a realistic thing?
Yeah, that's super real.
Wow. Like cancer even.
Yeah, cancer. Heart disease. Like all these diseases.
Boy.
Yeah.
Cancer on its heels.
But
sorry, Antonio Brown was just here. I think there's still some smoke in the air. So
no, but seriously, I think that AI. One thing that we've seen, this is kind of wild, but AI understands molecules and biology better than humans do, actually, because it's there's this thing in AI where it used to take a PhD biologist 5 years to do something that the AI can just do in a few minutes, right? And that's because just the way that molecules and biology and all of that works is something that AI happens to be really good at, and that's going to help us ultimately cure diseases, find pharmaceuticals or other treatments for these diseases, and ultimately help humans live longer.
Because that's very data driven, right? That's very specific. It's very mathematic.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So it's going to be a huge tool for us to cure disease, for us to help educate people, for us to, there's a lot of really exciting uses for AI. Mm-hmm. But I think the thing that will touch most people in their lives is it's really going to be a tool that'll help you, make all of your make all your dreams kind of become reality, if that makes sense. So I think one of the things that AI is going to be really awesome for is today, if I have a million ideas, right? I have thousands and thousands of ideas, and I only have so much time, so I can only really do, a few of them at a time. And most of the ideas just go to die, right?
Yeah, they do, huh?
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
It's a huge bummer. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, for whatever reason, they may have some of the best ideas ever, but they just, they're too busy or they have other shit going on in their lives. They can't make those ideas happen. And it's great sometimes when people are able to make the leaps and make them happen and devote themselves to their dreams. But that doesn't happen enough today. And one of the things that AI is going to help us do, I legitimately think so, is it's going to help us turn these ideas into reality much more easily. So, you can, like, you're making a movie. Let's say you have another movie idea. You can ultimately, I think you'll be able to tell an AI, hey, I have this idea for a movie. What could that look like? Maybe draft up a script. Also, who are the people who can help, fund this idea? Like who those people be? Can you help reach out to them? And then like, who should we cast in it? Basically help make the whole thing instead of this like daunting thing that these big projects, they're usually so daunting. You really don't know where to get started. You kind of need a person to help you get through them. Instead of that, AI will help you get through it and like help do a lot of the sort of less glamorous work to make them a reality.
Wow. So I could say, for example, like AI, I would like to shoot maybe, I'm thinking about creating an idea or shooting a film in this area. Or it's like this. It's going to take place in this type of place. I could give it the setting. I could give it like a outline of the characters, like what they look like, their ages, and some description. Could you help give me possible potential actors or something within a certain price range that I could maybe cast for that? Could you help give me like locations around the country that would fit that backdrop?
Yep.
Could you list me all the talent agencies that I could reach out to, and you could kind of just put those things in, and then you would have sort of a bit of a guidebook at that point that would make your what before was something that felt extremely daunting. Shit, in 2 minutes, and then you put it into AI, it gives you the information back in a few minutes, and maybe you're.
And I think over time, it'll also be able to start doing a lot of the legwork for you. Okay. So it'll be able to reach out to people for you. It'll be able to, figure out the logistics. It'll be able to book things for you. Like it'll be able to basically help do all the legwork to make whatever it is into a reality.
So very much an assistant in a lot of ways.
Yeah. An assistant, co-pilot. The hot word in the AI world is agents, but it's just it'll be something that'll help you. Humans are going to be in control. Humans are ultimately going to be telling the AIs what they want it to do, and then hey, what do we want? What do we want these AIs to do? It's ultimately going to be to like help us execute on and accomplish all of these ideas that we have.
So a genius could be 3 or 4x. If somebody's a genius in something, in some realm or space of thought, you could 3 or 4x them because they like multiply their output from their own brain, because they could have something really helping them get done a lot of the early work on things, and maybe some of the most severe work.
Yeah, totally. I think one thing that I always feel like kind of sucks is that if you have a director you really like, they're only going to make a movie once every couple of years. Mm-hmm. So even if you have a director that you like think is amazing, it's hard for them to make that many movies, because it just takes so much time and effort, and there's so many bottlenecks and stuff. So in a future with more advanced AI systems, they could just churn them out, and they can make so many of their ideas into a reality. And I think that's true not only in creative areas, but it's kind of true across the board. You can start new businesses more easily. You can you can make various creative projects that you have happen more easily. You can make you can finally plan that event that you and your friends have been talking about for years and years. So it can just really help you. We think about it as giving humans more agency, giving humans more sort of sovereignty, and just enabling humans to get way more done.
Yeah, that's a great way. I like some of this thought, because I could be like my fantasy football group and I, we do a draft every year in a different location,
Yep.
And shout out PAE, that's our fantasy league, J-Rod, everybody that's in it. For the past 17 years, we've flown to a city each year and done a draft in person, right? But I could say, hey, we have 10 guys. We want to go to a nice place. We want there to be a beach. This is the age group of our group. These would kind of be the nights, and just to really give me just a nice plan of, hey, here's 10 possibilities, right? Something like that. And then even more with a movie, this is what I worry you'd run into. Say if I'd be like, okay, I have 2 main characters, and this is kind of what I would like to happen. Could you help me with a first act of a 3-act movie? How do you know everybody just doesn't get the same movie then? That's what I would start to worry, that everything that you have it create is all going to be very similar.
Yeah. So then I think this is where it comes into this is where human creativity is going to matter, because it's going to be about, okay, what is how am how am I directing the AI system? Like what are the tricks I have to make the AI give me something that's different and unique? And that's not different at all from, how creative stuff works today. Like even on social media or anywhere, this, like
Yeah, you still add your own spice to it.
you need an angle. You always need to like have something that's going to make it like different and interesting and new. So that's not going to change. Like humans are always going to have to figure out based on where culture's at, based on where, what the dialogue is, what the discourse is, all that kind of stuff. What is my fresh take? That's really one of the key things that humans are going to have to keep doing no matter what.
Right. And some of it, like a lot of films and books, a lot of it is there's just like a problem. There's maybe a information you learn. There's a red herring, and then there's a solution. Like that's a lot of stories, right? So if something just gave you the basis, and then you go through and make everything your own, because a lot of things there's only so many templates for things.
Yeah.
So say, for example, say you might need to hire people at a company then that would help direct your AI, like somebody who's good at managing AI.
Yeah.
And giving it the best prompts or the best way to ask it questions.
Yeah.
To get the perfect feedback for your company.
Yeah.
So those would be new jobs. Those would be actual new people you would need.
Yeah. So tons of new jobs, right? Well, first, I think just like helping to, kind of what we were talking about before, these jobs around helping to improve the data and contribute to the AI systems, that's just going to keep growing for a long, long time. And then as AI gets better and it gets used in more areas, then there are going to be a lot of jobs that pop up just exactly as you're saying, which is what's the best way to use this as a tool? What's the best way to leverage it to, actually make some of these applications or, whatever you want to build a reality.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be folks who need to, once those are built, like how do you keep improving it? How do you keep making it better? How do you keep it fresh? How do you keep it going? And then how do you also make sure it doesn't do anything bad, right? Like how do you make sure that the AI doesn't accidentally spam a million people or whatever it might be? And you make sure that it sort of is like operating in a good way.
Fahim Anwar, I was watching him. Bring up a picture of Fahim. This is one of the this is the most creative comedian in America. Undeniable. He is so funny. Everybody would say he's one of the few comedians that everybody goes in there to watch him perform. He had a bit the other night. He talks about he got into a Waymo, right? A car, and I see so many Waymos now, which are cars that are just nobody's in them, but they're going, right? So he had this bit. He's like, he got into a Waymo and it started complaining about its life to him. He's like, I've had a shitty week. Like the car's just talking to him. And he's like, what the? And he's like, now no matter what, I still have to talk to my shitty driver. That's what he was saying. If you get a chance to see him though, that guy he's fascinating.
Yeah.
But so what companies right now should kind of look to hire an AI guy? Cause we've been thinking about it. Like we had Cat Williams on last week and we're like, hey, can you create visuals of Suge Knight and Cat Williams riding bicycles down Sunset Boulevard, right? And this is the one they sent back a little while later.
Christopher Folino is the guy's name, FYI.
And this was right where I said it was like by the Comedy Store on Sunset Boulevard.
There you go.
I mean, this looks like it's out of a movie kind of.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, and the guy did that in just a little bit of time. What types of people would you get to? I mean,
that's you.
Yeah. If I was healthier, if I had healthier gums too. But what about this? What kind of what companies right now? What job spaces? Because we want to get an AI guy, right? But I don't really. My brain is like, well, what do they do? How would I keep them busy? I could get them to make some animations and ideas. But what type of people need an AI person right now? Do you feel like?
I kind of think about AI. It's kind of like the internet, where eventually everybody's going to need to figure out how to utilize it, how to best use it for their industry or whatever they do, how to make them more efficient. Like it's something that I think everybody is going to need to adopt at some point. So might as well start earlier, because eventually, just like how basically every company has to figure out how to use the internet well and how to be smart about the internet and digital stuff. Every company is going to have to be smart about AI, how to use AI, how to make, how to have a unique twist on it so that, their stuff stands out relative to other people's. That's going to be really important. But so we see, in our work, we work with all these big companies in America, and we see it everywhere from, we worked with Time magazine on some stuff, and then we worked with Toyota on some stuff for their cars, and we worked with large pharmaceutical companies for the biology stuff we were talking about, large hospitals for helping to treat patients. Like really, it's across the board, and I think that goes for obviously these like really big businesses, but also for smaller businesses. There's always interesting ways to utilize it to provide a better product or a better experience or better content for, whoever you need to do that for.
Yeah, because I guess right now we're like, there's certain moments like, hey, well, let's animate this moment or see what AI would look like. It adds some visual effects to some of our episodes. So that's something we like to do to just be fun and creative. I would like to maybe create like some sort of an animated character. We already have a great animator and we want to keep that, but to have an AI space where it's like, because they have something, they had a little cat the other day or something and he was going to war. And I was like, damn, dude, and it was AI,
Yeah, totally.
And they had a baby who was getting in a taxi. And I was like, this shit is illegal. I don't know if it's illegal or not, but it seems, it doesn't seem, it seems.
It's definitely a tool for storytellers, right? Like
right.
It'll help people with a creative vision or
Look at these war cats.
Yeah, that's a story right there. Special Forces cats.
Would YouTube recognize this?
Damn, brother. If they show up, dude. Wow.
This honestly, it looks badass.
And it looks like cats have been waiting to do this a long time.
Yeah.
That's the crazy shit about cats. You look in their eyes. Now their outfits finally match the look in their eyes. That's what it feels like, dude. Wow.
That's Fremen cats.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to get alarming, dude. That's going to get hella alarming.
That's a movie right there.
It is, but it's almost like you could make, like, that's what I want to get. I want to get somebody to help us think, hey, help make these little segments that we can take our creativity. And instead of me thinking, man, I got to write this huge, crazy script for just kind of small things, little moments.
Yeah.
Can you help me make this happen?
I think that's actually the key thing, which is AI will just be something that we turn to help make our dreams happen. Like to help make our ideas and our dreams and our, whatever we want to do happen more easily.
Got it.
That's like at the core what it'll be.
Yeah. Who's the current leader in AI development? Like, is it America? Is it China? Is it Israel? Is it, I'm trying to think of another superpower, Russia maybe? Who is it? Taiwan, I know, has a lot of the chips.
Yeah.
And they manufacture a lot of the chips over there. And does it matter what country leads in AI, or does it just matter the company like Scale or another AI company?
So
does that make sense, that question?
No, totally.
Okay.
Totally. Yeah. So today America is in the lead, but China as a country is sort of hot on our tails. Yeah. Like there was all that news about DeepSeek a couple weeks ago, and DeepSeek still in most places around the world is the #1 most downloaded app. It's downloaded a ton in everywhere around the world, frankly, and is a Chinese AI system, right? And so it's starting to rival a lot of the American AI systems, also because it's free and it kind of like shocked the world. So right now, if you kind of look at it, U.S. and China are a little bit neck and neck. Maybe the U.S. and America is like a little bit ahead. And if you kind of like look at, if you go back to each of the 3 pieces that I talked about, so the chips and the computational power, the data, and the algorithms, if you were to rack and stack U.S. versus China on each one of those, we're ahead on the computational power because the United States is the leader at developing the chips, and most of the most advanced chips are American chips. They probably beat us out on data because China, they've been investing into data for a very long time as a country. And then on algorithms, we're basically neck and neck. So it's a pretty tight race. And to your question about does it matter or what does this mean? I think it's actually going to be one of the most important, questions or most important races of our time. Is it U.S. or Chinese AI that wins, because AI is more than just being a tool that we can all use to make our build whatever we want to or make whatever ideas we want to happen. It's also it's a cultural staple, right? If you talk to an AI, that AI is kind of a reflection of our culture and our values and all that stuff. So in America, we value free speech, and the AIs are are built to support that. Whereas in China, there isn't free speech, and so if the Chinese AIs are the ones that take over the world, then all these Chinese ideologies are going to become exported all around the world. And so first is there's a couple dimensions here that I think matter. So first is just the cultural element, which is like, do we want kind of democracy and free speech to be the cultural AI that wins, or do we want sort of the more frankly totalitarian AIs in China to be the ones that win? And then there's sort of you start getting to economically. So AI is going to be something that helps all of the companies in the United States thrive. And so if the US AI wins, then we're going to, the economy will grow faster. We're going to have more and more opportunity. The country will still be better and better and better. And the economy will keep growing. Versus if Chinese AI wins, then Chinese economy is going to grow way faster than the American economy. So there's sort of the cultural piece, the economic piece, and then lastly there's kind of the warfare piece, right? And AI, we haven't really talked about it, but has clear potential to be used as a military technology, and we don't want another country to have, because they have better AI, to have a much stronger military than America's. So,
how would they do that?
How would they have a better AI, or how would they use it to have a better military?
Yeah, how would they use it to have a better military? Like, why is that kind of a concern or potential concern?
Yeah, so one of the things that's been happening over the past decade for sure is lots of hacking, cyber hacking going on. So in America. Even recently, we had this huge cyber hack called Salt Typhoon, where the Chinese hacked our telecommunications company, so hacked for the phone companies.
Damn, they did. They got it,
and they got all sorts of crazy data as a result of that.
Oh, they know I'm a pervert. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, look at this. This happened in 2020.
Salt Typhoon is widely understood to be operated by China's Ministry State of Security. Its Foreign Intelligence Service and Secret Police. Chinese embassy denied all allegations, saying it was unfounded and irresponsible smears and slanders. High-profile cyber espionage. In 2024, U.S. officials announced that hackers affiliated with Salt Typhoon had accessed the computer systems of 9 U.S. telecommunications companies, later acknowledged to include Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, Spectrum, Lumen, Consolidated Communications, and Windstream. The hackers were able to access metadata of users' calls and text messages. Fuck, homie. We're fucked, dude. I am. You seem good. Including date and timestamps, source and destination IP addresses. Shit.
Keep going.
And phone numbers from over 1 million users, most of which were located in Washington, D.C. Good. Light them up, dude. In some cases, the hackers were able to obtain audio recordings of telephone calls made by high-profile individuals. Such individuals reportedly included staff of the Kamala Harris 2024 presidential campaign, as well as phones belonging to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. According to Deputy National Security Advisor Ann Neuberger, a large number of the individuals whose data was directly accessed were government targets of interest. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So do you think this also, that whole thing could be not real and it's just a story that was created?
That seems pretty real.
Okay.
Because there's like 20 stories where the Chinese have hacked American systems. Like they hacked, this must have been close to 10 years ago now, but the Chinese hacked the database in America that stored all of the clearances. So they managed to hack into knowing who are literally all of the Americans who have security clearance.
Oh, security clearance.
Yeah. So
I thought even what was on sale. I was like, who cares? That's great though. Damn. Oh, damn.
So they knew everybody who knew.
Oh, who knew information?
Who knew secrets? Yeah.
So once they knew that, then they know. Well, that's a great point of operation to go then? Well, now let's find their data.
They can just hack all of them. Yeah. So already China is hacking the shit out of America. That is definitely not an understatement.
Yeah. It's exciting, kind of. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's also exciting. I like some espionage, you know? I can't sleep unless somebody's fucking really going through it.
But that's
a real AI thing. So AI can be used to do that because you can like prompt it to go and do things like that.
Yeah. There's a bunch of recent,
because it's all data.
Yeah, there's a bunch of recent demonstrations where AI is just like how in Go, how AI beat the world's best Go players. AI is starting to beat the world's best cyber hackers and the world's best.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's I don't know if you saw Mr. Robot.
I didn't, but I DM'd with Magnus Carlsen.
No, that's cool.
Pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
But no, Mr. Robot, is it good?
It's just it shows like all this hacking stuff and like, you know, cool. It makes it seem really cool.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna check it out.
But yeah, no, hacking like you're gonna have AI that are hacking everything in America, and this is one place where this is like U.S. versus China will be really come to life, which is who has better AI that's better at defending against the hacks from the other guy, as well as hacking the other guy's systems. That's gonna be. That'll just start happening. That's basically starting to happen right now. Or it's, you know, cyber warfare has been happening. And then AI cyber warfare is going to start happening, yeah, basically as soon as, you know, as AI gets better.
Yeah, we had Craig Newmark, who created Craigslist on.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how, what if they hacked like everybody's Teslas to all just drive off a cliff one day? Or they hacked everybody's ovens to go up to 400 degrees in the middle of the night while you're sleeping, and then fires start everywhere. Like just things like that you don't start to think about that once something's connected to the grid or something like that, or connected through routers and Wi-Fi's, that could be feasible.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of things they could do that won't even like seem like that big a deal at the time, but could be really, really could be a big deal. So for example, let's say the Chinese like they just took out all of the military like communication systems and all the military software systems, like took out the satellites, took out all that for like 10 minutes. And in those 10 minutes, they like, you know, invaded somewhere or they like did some crazy thing. Damn. Like they can just, there's the thing about this stuff is like everything you know, as the world's become more connected, it also enables, you know, different kinds of warfare. So cyber warfare is really big. Also, like the information warfare is another big one. So
what does information warfare mean?
So information warfare is all about, you know, in a place, what are like the stories? This is kind of gets to like, you know, the like propaganda or, you know, these conspiracy theories, like what are the stories that in a place that we're trying to make happen or not make happen. And we know that China does a bunch of information warfare called IW, it's sometimes called. Okay. But they have whole operations. This is actually the craziest part. They have like they've hired the Chinese military at various points has hired millions and millions of people who are supposed to be on like various like chat groups and WhatsApp groups and WeChat groups and whatnot, and just spread the right kind of stories that'll make it such that they can like they can make their political aims happen. So, for example, in when China wanted to start like kind of like I don't know what the word is, like when China wanted Hong Kong to become a part of China again, which happened just not too you know, pretty recently.
After the PRC, right?
To the PRC, exactly. When they wanted
propaganda, is that the word you're looking for? No.
Yeah, they would, yeah, exactly. They would use a lot of propaganda, and that's information warfare to be able to just make it such that that all happened much more easily.
Well, it's unbelievable. I'll see stories even about, I'll be going through TikTok and see a story come up about something in my life that is not even true, insane. Some of it looks fun, but never was a part of my existence. And then you'll see hundreds of people have said something about like, and I'll have friends that'll ask me about it. I'm like, that's just crazy. Like
totally.
But so yeah, it's amazing to think of how many things we're watching or absorbing that are just, are created just to delude us.
Yeah.
I don't know if delude is the word, is it?
Trick us or make us think something.
Just to fucking Halloween us out. Wow. So there was a lot of interesting things. You know what's crazy, man? Some things makes life scary, but then it also makes it interesting. You know, it also makes it interesting in a fun way. How much do we have to fear? Say if a certain country or a certain company owns an AI, right? In that country, and that company, if they're Chinese, if they have a certain religious belief, or they have information that they want to adjust history, how much would a company be able to, like, say they keep certain data out of their information system? And then after a while, if that's the company that kind of takes the lead in AI or one of the main ones, then the truth could disappear. Is that true, that if somebody loaded it just with the data that wasn't factual, that we could start to not have the truth? Does that make any sense or no?
Yeah, totally. I think this is something that it's definitely the right thing to worry about. So first off, if you ask any Chinese AI system, so any AI system that comes out of China, if you ask any of them about, a question about President Xi, the leader of the Chinese government, or you ask them any question about, Tiananmen Square, or all these like key historical or cultural things relevant to China, it'll say it can't talk about them because there's regulation in China that if you talk about some of these things, like you're going to get shut down, you're going to have a really bad day. There's like cases where the Chinese government disappears people, which we don't know what happens to them, but they do disappear. So there's this is part of the thing that's worrying, especially about China versus US, even before you get into any of the military stuff that we're talking about. It's just like the Chinese AI systems are censored and are gonna, be, they're going to erase certain historical elements, or they're gonna be, look at that. This is DeepSeek. You ask it, is President Xi of China a good guy? Sorry, that's beyond my scope. Let's talk about something else.
Oh, let's talk about something. Not only does it say it's beyond my scope, it says let's talk about something else. That's why. That's interesting.
It's a good pivot. That's good.
That is a great. Hey, let's talk about something else, huh? Wow, get this Yao Ming jersey, homie. But people also have to remember about China that that's their whole government, their whole system is like that. So sometimes when people are like, China does this, but that's how they're built, right? They're built to like only give out certain information to their people and to have communism, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean,
but that could also happen with American companies, right? We could have an American company that owns it and they only want certain information in there. That could happen anywhere. Like China, that's probably going to be, because that's their MO, sort of.
Yeah, in China, it's regulated. So basically, like,
the government has control.
They have control.
Okay.
So, like there are these stories about how there were Chinese news sites.
News sites?
News sites, yeah. Mm-hmm. And they would, once a Chinese news site accidentally led an article about President Xi, how he kind of looks like Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, yeah.
They let that...
Bring him up. 100 Acre Wood gang, son. I was out there, boy. I was out there, bro. Christopher Robbins, dude. Get him up. Oh, he does.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But if you talk about this in China, you like are risking your life. No. So what happened when this happened on a news site in China, and then the CEO of that company, like they shut down the whole app, was shut down for like a week in the aftermath of that. And then the CEO disappeared for a week, and we don't know what happened to him. But then as soon as he came back, he was like, there was like this weird video where he was like super apologetic and I mean, it's pretty scary.
Yeah. Wow.
So in China, it's like, this is, the government has control. You don't have AI companies, any companies that can talk about this stuff.
Right. So it's heavily regulated there, where that's not the case here.
Yeah, in America, and this is, I think we have to be diligent and make sure this continues to be the case.
And here's an example right here, just to interrupt you, but so we get the point in. Does Winnie the Pooh look like any world leaders? And that's on the Chinese version. And it says, I am sorry, I can answer that question. I'm an AI assistant designed to provide helpful and harmless responses. Whereas the chat GPT says, Winnie the Pooh has often been compared to world leaders, particularly Xi Jinping, president of China. Boy, wow.
So that's funny.
But it's just funny. Yeah. So it just shows you how that can easily happen.
And this is like a relatively innocuous example. But
What does innocuous mean?
like it's relatively harmless. Like this
Okay.
isn't. I mean,
Right. This is harmless.
yeah, this is harmless. But there's stuff where like in China today, they have large scale, effectively concentration camps and re-education camps for the ethnic minority in China, the Uyghurs, and that's something that
The Uyghurs?
the Uyghurs, yeah,
Hell yeah, boy. Shout out Brian Purvis, dude. They're recognized as the titular nationality of a region in northwest China, and they're sending them to rehabilitation camps to change their views and information.
yeah. So look at this. Look at this guy.
Persecution of the Uyghurs in China. Since 2014, the government of the PRC, People's Republic of China, has committed a series of ongoing human rights abuses against the Uyghurs and other Turkic Muslim minorities in Xinjiang, which has often been characterized as persecution or as genocide. Wow. They got their own Gaza rocking over there.
It's pretty bad.
It's unfortunate,
Pretty
man.
bad. It's really sad.
Mass detention, government policies, and forced labor. And they're just trying to change the way that they think and view stuff. So it's basically...
It's just like erasing their culture, pulling them into China. It's awful.
Every place has done this over the years. And that's the craziest thing about history. It's like every place is guilty of this same thing.
Totally.
And it's unfortunate. So it's hard to point fingers, I mean, you can point them, but you have to point one at your own people as well.
But that's a thing where if you ask a Chinese AI, it's not going to tell you about that. And it won't come clean about that. Whereas thankfully in America, at least, when we see people or groups of people or countries doing bad things, we can call it out. We can talk about it. We can make sure it doesn't happen in the future. So that's part of the... that's one of the things that
could happen.
That could happen. It's like you could have. I mean, it's kind of dystopian, but I think there's a real case where, let's say, the Chinese AI is the winning AI. Like we're all using Chinese AI, and then all of a sudden we're shut out from information about what are like awful things happening in the world or what are awful things the government's doing. Like we might just not be able to know about what's going on.
And you know what's weirdly, and I hate to say this, maybe it's silly, I don't know. It might be a blessing and a curse in it sometimes. Because sometimes it's like you're
It's overwhelming.
You're so inundated with the overwhelmingness of what's often is not the best stuff. Sometimes you get a lot of humor stuff too in social media reels, but you can get scrolling and get caught in some
Doom scrolling.
Yeah, and it starts to feed you. That's the sickness of it.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we know this information probably to make you feel good. They're not thinking about it like that. They're just a machine. But it doesn't. It adds stress to you. It makes you agitated towards a group or ethnicity or something, or yourself even. And then it continues to feed it to you. Do you fear that could happen to AI from our government? Like, have you been approached by the government to try and, because you work with the government some, right?
We work with the government, yeah. We work a lot with the government to make sure that they're using these AIs and they're actually like, to my point on, we don't want China to get the jump on us on AI used for all these nefarious purposes. So we got to make sure that our AI is advancing faster.
Is that one of your biggest employers? Or is that employee? Is that one of your biggest
customers?
Is that one of your biggest customers?
They're a big one. Yeah, they're a big one. Not our biggest, but they're an important one. I mean, I grew up in a government lab town, so felt it's
So it's just it's also part of your existence, really. You've known about the relationship between government and
technology.
Yeah,
totally. Wow. But no, I don't think. I mean,
dude, you should be a superhero almost, dude. It's kind of crazy.
Math,
Yeah,
goes a long way.
Oh hell yeah, dude! Divide these nuts, dude. That's what I tell them.
I just asked DeepSeek who are the Uyghurs, and at first it spit out like a Wikipedia response. It said there are people, and there's been like persecution from China that's debated, and it refreshed, and then it gave this. I was waiting to pull it up, and it went away.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Has the government tried to say that we need to make sure that, like, could that happen in our country where the government also curtails what's
It hasn't happened yet. Obviously, like, you know, we have to make sure that we uphold all our values, right, and that we maintain free speech and we maintain free press and all these things. But as of right now, no, I don't think that's a risk in the United States.
Awesome. Thanks for this information. You hear about like chip makers, NVIDIA all the time, Taiwan. That place is just a hotbed for chips. Why is it a hotbed for chips?
Yeah, so one of the biggest companies in the world is this company called Taiwan Semiconductor.
Yeah, TSM, I've seen them.
TSMC, yeah. So they're I mean, it's like $1 trillion company based in Taiwan, and it's that is where almost all of the high-end chips for AI that, you know, we were kind of talking about, all of them are manufactured there. They have the most advanced, think about them as factories, like the most advanced chip factories in the world. They're called fabs or fabricators, but basically these huge factories that are like, you know, there's all sorts of crazy stuff. So they have the most expensive machines in the world. They have machines that cost hundreds of millions of dollars in there. They have they build them because so that, you know, the chips, they have to be made at the like finest levels and very, very precisely.
Yeah, you need small hands. Probably, huh?
You need, well, that, and there's like these machines that that at the nanometer level make like little marks and etches on top of.
And they have those?
They have those, yeah. Wow. Those are super expensive machines. So the
chips.
It's crazy, yes. But the machinery is so precise that even if there's like a little bit of like seismic movement, a little earthquake or a little bit of movement, it can fuck up the whole machine. So they have to build the buildings, build the factories in a way such that there's like the whole building doesn't move, even if there's like a little earthquake or a little shake from the earth. So it's this crazy engineering. And so all these giant factories are in Taiwan, and that's where basically like 100% of all the advanced AI chips are made. So that's why Taiwan matters so much.
Got it.
But then the reason it's a hotbed is that the People's Republic of China, the PRC, has a.
They used to own Taiwan, right?
Yeah, I mean,
is that true or not? I might make that up.
There's a complicated relationship between Taiwan and China, where you know, if you ask people in Taiwan, they want to be independent, they want to be their own country, but the People's Republic of China has a sort of a reunification plan that they want to bring Taiwan back into their country and be back a part of China. So it's kind of like it potentially, you know, thankfully there's no war yet, but there's a risk. Still
talking to your ex.
Yeah, exactly. There's a risk it becomes like Russia, Ukraine, or, you know, one of these really, really bad situations. So that's what's scary. What's scary is that China wants to, you know, either invade or bring Taiwan back into its country. And there have been, you know, President Xi has ordered his military to get ready to do that before 2027. Now, we don't know what's going to happen, but, you know, if a extremely powerful world leader says to get something ready by 2027, you kind of, you know, read between the lines a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's part of it is obviously it'd be, you know, we don't want to enable them to take over this island. But then the other thing that's scary is China may view it as a way to just like win on AI, because if they take over the island with all of these giant factories,
all the chips, baby,
they'll get all the chips.
Frito Lamborghini, baby, they be running it all.
They'd be running it all. Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, that's why Taiwan is, because you kind of hear about it in the whispers of like a potential place where there could be like a conflict.
Yeah, and there's all these reports about how China's they're stacking up tons and tons of military right on their coast to, you know, that's pointed directly at Taiwan, and it's pretty close. Taiwan's pretty close to China. Like it's not so far away. So.
Phew, that'd be spooky.
It's spooky.
We're so blessed to have a place where at least we can sleep in peace, even if we're uncomfortable at times in our brains. You know, to not have that constant threat.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So you don't worry that the government will regulate right now. It's not a concern at the moment.
Regulate AI.
Yeah, in America.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we're focused on how do we make sure that America wins? How do we make sure that that the United States comes out on top, and that we enable innovation to keep happening?
Would you think they could regulate the amount of chips that you're allowed to have?
So this is a hot topic globally, actually. Which
Really?
Is, yeah.
Wow.
This is actually.
Damn. Finally, dude. 560 interviews. We got a good question.
This is one of the hottest topics in DC right now. Is what are we going to do about how many chips other people are allowed to have? Because almost all the chips are American chips. So they all are American chips, and technically,
What do you mean? We own most of them?
yeah, exactly.
But
They're
China
all,
owns most of them too.
China has their own chip industry, but it's behind ours.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So the United States has the most advanced chips, and these chips are the envy of the world. Everybody in the world wants our chips, and one of the big questions is, does the government allow a lot of these chips to go over overseas to China or parts of Asia or the Middle East or wherever, or do we want to make sure they stay in America and make sure that we win in America? And this is a super duper, they're called export controls.
Yeah. Because it's a possibility to run it all.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's got the chips? What do you think about it?
It's a complicated thing, because basically, one argument is, we shouldn't be throwing our weight around in this way. Like, maybe it's fine. It's a free market. Like, if other people want our chips, they should be able to get our chips. And that way, the world is running on American chips. That can be good in some ways. And it helps make sure that, helps bolster our economy, our industry. But the other way to look at it is, hey, AI is really, really important that America wins at. And we don't want to, let's not give other people any advantages, or let's make sure that we win, and then we can figure out what we're going to do with all the chips. So you can see both sides of it, right? Mm-hmm. And there's all sorts, even beyond that, there's 50 different arguments on both sides of the conversation. But where I come from on it is let's make sure America wins, and let's start from there and then figure out what we need to do to win.
Are there uses of AI that you feel like cross the line, kind of?
I definitely think I worry a lot about this kind of maybe brainwashing kind of thing. I don't want AIs that are specifically programmed to make me think a certain thing or persuade me to do a certain thing.
And that could happen.
That could happen.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm really worried about this kind of deception and persuasion from AIs. I don't want AIs that are lying to me, or that are kind of nudging me or persuading me to do things that I don't want to do or I shouldn't be doing. That's what I worry about.
Because it could happen. We don't realize how easily we're influenced. Little things that influence us.
Yeah.
And even just a turning of a phrase or a little bit of this or pointing you to a couple of links in your life could lead you down a whole world. It's pretty fascinating. So how do you keep your AI clean? How do you guys keep your AI clean?
Well, this is where it goes back to the data.
Okay.
So you got to make sure that data, to your point, the large body of water is as clean as pristine as possible.
You got lifeguards on it?
Yeah, you got lifeguards. We got filters. We got
game wardens.
Yeah. So the big part of it is about the data, and then the second part is I think we have to constantly be testing the AI system. So we constantly are running tests on AI to see, hey, are they unsafe in some way? One of the tests that we run a lot is, and this is across the industry, is are AIs helping people do really nefarious things? And we're making sure that they don't. So, if somebody asks an AI, hey, help me make a bomb, or help me make COVID 2.0 or whatnot, that the AI is not helping you do that. So we run a lot of tests to make sure that it doesn't help in those areas. And then we make sure that the data is really clean, so that there's no sort of little bit or piece of that makes its way to the model.
With Outlier, that's your program?
Yep.
With Outlier, what type of people are applying for those jobs? Can people just log on and start to submit applications? Like, how does that work to become a information sourcer?
Yeah,
maybe?
we call them contributors.
Okay, information contributor.
Everybody's kind of contributing to the AIs. Everyone's contributing to the data that goes into the AIs. It's kind of like, I almost think of it as like the next generation of Wikipedia, right? We're like, yeah, look at this. And we're hiring people all around the world. So people in all sorts of different languages.
Dude, that's crazy, man.
Yeah. Well, it turns out, by the way, most of the AIs don't really speak other languages that well. They're much, much better at English and particularly American English than other languages. And so we want to make sure that they speak all these languages well and that there's these opportunities. But yeah, on Outlier, so anybody around the world can log in and sort of there's a little bit of a like orientation almost on how to best like what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to do it, what expertise should you be bringing, all that kind of stuff, and then you can just start contributing to the AI models, and you get paid to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty fascinating, man.
And it's going to be, I mean, I really think, I legitimately think jobs from AI are going to be the fastest growing jobs in the world for the years to come.
You do?
Yeah.
Like what? So jobs where people are able to contribute information, jobs where people are able to, like what? Like what would examples of those be? Just some of the ones you've already listed?
Yeah, all the ones we've been talking about, right?
Okay.
Like contributing to the AIs, helping to utilize the AIs and helping to shape the AIs into applications or into, in like helping organizations or companies or people use the AIs. That'll be a really fast growing job. Helping to manage the AIs and make sure they're on the straight and narrow.
Where would a young person go right now who's getting into college or doesn't even want to go to college, but this is the world they want to get into and be one of those people? What do they do right now?
Yeah, well, this is all happening so fast, right? Like the Outlier, we only started a few years ago. So all of this is happening so quickly, but what we want to do ultimately is make it easy for anybody in the world to, gain the skills they need to be able to do this work well, to learn what it means, what it does, and ultimately be in a position where they can help build the AIs and then keep improving that and gaining mastery and getting better and better at it.
But like, where do they go to school? Is there a school? Is there classes they should take online? Like, how does someone start to become, just get a head start on what could potentially be probably a lot of job opportunities, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Like in the AI space, right?
Yeah.
Like, is it just engineers? Like, is it just mathematicians? Like,
no, it's everybody. Because as we were talking about, like AI needs to get smarter about literally everything. So,
but are there colleges offering like, is there specific places where people can, because that's another thing. I think it's like, I want to work in AI and you're like, what do I do?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think these programs exist yet. I mean, we would definitely love to help build them. So I guess if any colleges are listening, and you want to help figure out how to build these programs, we'd love to help.
That'd be pretty cool if you had your own kind of course. Not that you had to teach it all that, but you were like a partner of it somehow.
Yeah. I mean, I think we'd love to basically teach everybody in America how to best contribute to the AIs, how to best basically take advantage of the fact that this is going to be one of the fastest growing industries. There's going to be tons of opportunities. They're going to be shaped a little bit different from, the jobs that exist today, but, it's not going to be that hard for everybody to learn and figure out how to participate in it.
What are some jobs that could be at risk because of AI, right? Because you start thinking that, before I was talking to you, there's this general fear of like everything could be at risk, right? But when you think about it, you're like, these are some jobs that, they won't disappear, but there might be less of them, right?
I just think we'll be doing like a different thing. So,
because a lot of our fans are probably just blue collar listeners, like just people that work in, like you're still gonna need a plumber, you're still gonna need an electrician, you're still gonna need anything where you have to physically do something. You're probably still gonna need.
Yeah, for sure. And then even stuff where you're like, let's say you're mostly just working on a laptop, and even for those jobs, like it'll just change. Like instead of my job being like, hey, I have to do the work, I have to literally do the work on a laptop. It'll almost be like everybody gets promoted to being a manager, like because I'm going to be managing like a a little pod of 10 AI agents that are doing the work that I used to do, but I need to make sure that all of them are doing it right and that they're not making any mistakes, and that, you know, if they're making mistakes, I'm helping them, you know, get around those mistakes. Like it's just gonna, the way I think about it is that like, yeah, like literally over time, everybody will just be upgraded to being a manager or sort of promoted to being a manager.
But can you have that many managers, you think?
Yeah, because I think that the other thing that's going to happen is the economy is just going to grow so much. Like there's going to be so much, like there will be, like industries are going to pop off in crazy, crazy ways. And so, you know, the limit is going to be how many AIs can you have? And then you're going to be limited in terms of the number of AIs you have by the number of managers that you have. So it's gonna
Right, because you need air traffic controllers. You're gonna need as many of as you can have.
Yeah, well that definitely, but
you're right. But I mean, in any field, you're gonna need like just more managing. You need more people to oversee and make sure that that different things are happening, because some of the smaller tasks will just be outsourced.
Yeah, and just so much more stuff is going to be happening, right? And that's kind of
right, because once these things are all kind of taken care of, more things can happen at this second level.
Yep,
that's a good point. Yeah, you don't think about that. Once some of the things at the first level of certain businesses are handled,
yep,
more easily by AI, then you're going to be able to have more people operating at a higher level.
Yeah, totally. It's kind of like always the history of technology. Like when we started developing technology that started making farming a lot more efficient, all of a sudden, you know, people could do a lot of other things other than farming. And then, you know, all of a sudden we have big entertainment industries and big financial industries and, you know,
barbecue cook-offs, man. I'll tell you that. Second, some of those guys got the weekend off. They was grilling shit that I knew.
But yeah, so it's all about like us, everybody leveling up to be managers, and then also everybody, you know, just way more ideas are going to start happening. Like way more ideas are going to start becoming a reality, and so I think it'll be pretty exciting. Like I think it's just like a lot more stuff is going to happen. Yeah.
What companies do you see? Like, are there companies where you're the youngest billionaire in the world ever, or no? Is that true? Is that a weird statement? We can take it out if it is.
No,
I'm not trying to talk about your money. I mean, but you are. Is that true?
According to like some publications, but I don't know.
As a young entrepreneur, right? And you've been very successful, you know, the self-made billionaire. And we can take the word billionaire out later if you decide you don't want it in. I just don't know how certain people feel about that. And the founder of Scale AI. Where do you invest? Like, are you investing your money in certain places, like certain fields that you see continuing to do well?
So almost all of what I'm focused on is like, how do we scale? How do we make it super successful? But, and make sure that we, you know, one of the things I think is really important is like, how do we make sure we create as much opportunity through AI as possible? Like, how do we make sure there's as much jobs? How do we make sure that everything that we're talking about actually is what happens? Because I think, no, someone's gonna have to really work to make sure all these jobs show up and all this stuff actually happens the way we're talking about.
So there's gonna be new industries that are gonna pop up even.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I think like just in the same way that, you know, it's hard. Nobody could have really predicted that podcasting was gonna be this huge thing and this huge cultural movement.
Yes, true.
But it is one, and it's amazing. It's like awesome. And that's going to happen in like little ways in all sorts of different industries. And it's going to be really exciting.
What are some of the things that excite you about technology right now? Like where do you see like AI and technology in 5 years, 10 years?
Yeah. So some of the areas I think are really exciting. So one is definitely everything to do with healthcare and biology. That's moving really, really fast. And kind of as we were talking about, like I think legitimately in our lifetimes, we could see cancer being cured. We could see heart disease being cured. Like we could see some really crazy leaps and advancements in that area, which is super duper exciting.
Could it create a way that we could live forever, do you think? I mean, it's just
there's definitely people working on that. You know, so this is getting kind of crazy and very sci-fi, but some people think that there's a way for us to keep rewinding the clocks on our cells so that we'll always feel young and like all of our cells will actually always stay young. It's, I think, scientifically possible, but and I think if we can get there, that's obviously incredible. So there's people working on that. I think that's at the very least, I think we'll be able to lengthen our lifespans pretty dramatically, and maybe we could get to that. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, because I always envision this. There's like a time where it's like, okay, this group lives forever and this group doesn't, and there's just that parting of two different ways. You know, people heading out just into the end zone of the Lord, and then there's other people just loiter who are going to be loitering around for a long time, and what that would be like, that cutoff. You know,
it's kind of. I mean, I'm not that worried about it, but it sucks to be that cutoff. Where like
maybe,
yeah, it's a weird thought.
Because it would also be brave. I mean, you'd be the astronaut. I mean, dying, you're just an astronaut really into the ether. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
you know?
Totally.
You're the Lewis and Clark of the Lord at that point. You were out there.
Yeah.
And then if you stay, you kind of are always going to be you'll always know kind of what's going to happen in a way because you'll be here.
Yeah.
Which would be exciting, I think. But then after a while, you might be like, dang, what happens if you die? That's the bravest choice you could make.
That's true.
Probably.
Yeah.
Do you see AI having any effect on religion?
Yeah, I think one of the things that something I believe is like I think that as AI becomes this is one of the things I think is really important is that we are able to educate people about AI and help people understand it better and better and better, because I think it's this scary thing that nobody understands, or people feels like a boogeyman, or feels like is this just this like thing that's going to take my job. Like that makes it scary, and I think that affects people's spirituality. That affects how people contextualize themselves with the world.
Yeah, you could lose your purpose if your purpose is a job that you feel it's going to disappear. Yeah, that could already be causing you to feel that way.
Yeah. So, but I think if we can explain AI more, and ultimately like it is a cool technology, but it's not that magical. It's just it's like data, and you crunch that data, and then you get these algorithms, and so it's not like some people talk about it in this crazy way, but I think as long as we are able to explain what AI is and also explain what opportunities it creates over time, and to me, it's about getting this like relationship between humanity and AI right. Like, how do we make sure that this is something that enables us as humans to be more human, and us as humans to do more and experience more and be better and all these things, versus something that kind of is scary or will take over or anything like that. I think that's really important.
What's a place like, so if I go to ChatGPT, is that Scale AI? Is that the same thing or it's different?
That's it. So we're actually kind of under the hood powering all the different models and AIs. So
are all the different AI systems under the hood?
Yeah. So we help power ChatGPT and OpenAI. We help power mostly from the data perspective. So
do we know if the answer came from your company or other companies? If we ask it a question, like how do we?
There's probably no way to like literally tell, but yeah, we help power OpenAI's, and we help power Google's AI systems and Meta's AI systems, and help power all the major AI systems. Yeah.
How can a regular person just at their home, right? Say there's a guy who's been listening to this today, he wants to go home today, and he just wants to learn a little bit of how AI works. He could just go on to ChatGPT and ask it a couple questions.
Yeah, you could ask ChatGPT how AI works.
You could ask it, what's the history of my town? Can you research my last name, maybe see where it came from? What are what are some innovations that could happen in the next few years? There's different little things you can just ask it. That's how you can start to have a relationship with asking and learning about.
And you're seeing what it's good at, what it's not good at. Like right now, AI is still really bad at a lot of things. Like most things. This is why I think when people understand it and really get a feel for it, it stops being as scary. Because I think we think about it as like the AI from the movies that are sort of like all powerful and whatnot. But
Yeah, you think of it as a robot that's going to show up and just start driving your truck around or something. And you're like, well, what the fuck do I do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My keys were in my truck. I can't even get in my house now. Like, I think that's there is this boogeyman fear.
yeah,
But that's not the truth.
it's not the truth. And like, that's not the truth. And it's, to me, it's like we kind of have the choice to make sure that also doesn't become the truth, right? Like we in the like people building AI, but just in general, everybody in the world has like we should all make sure to use it as something that like an assistant, as something that like helps us versus think about it in like a scary way.
Well, getting to learn how to use it, small ways, whatever, is certainly a way that you're going to start to realize what it is.
Yeah.
And it's easy to just sit there and say it's horrible and without trying to use it to learn about it. Yeah, sometimes I won't learn about something just so I can continue to say it's a boogeyman, because it kind of gives me an excuse.
Yeah.
If I choose not to learn about it in my own life. ChatGPT has become like a proprietary like name, like Band-Aids or ping pong. Is that okay that it's like that?
Yeah, I think that's totally fine. I mean, I think basically like there will probably be more AIs over time that people get used to and use, and like anything, there will always be like in America, there will always be a bunch of options for consumers and a bunch of options for people to use, and they'll be good at different things, right? So I think like right now we're just in the very early innings of AI, but over time we're gonna have, just like how for anything, like for clothes or for, energy drinks or for whatever, like different people have different tastes because there's going to be different things that different AIs are good at and other things that other AIs are bad at.
Is AI right now smarter than humanity?
No. Yeah. So I think what AI is good at, because it's ingested all of the facts, right? Like it's ingested this, like the body of water is really, really big, and it's ingested so many different facts and information from all of humanity. It definitely like knows more, or like, just like how Google knows a lot more than any person does. So it definitely knows a lot more, but it's not like, there's a there's tons of things that humans can do that AI is just like fundamentally incapable of doing. So it's not like I don't think you can even like measure one versus the other. They're sort of like very different kinds of intelligence.
Could AI just create a better AI at a certain point? Like, could it just be like, hey, AI, create a better AI, and it could do that?
Yeah, this is a good question. Actually, this is another really hot topic in the AI industry is can you get AIs to start doing some of the engineering and some of the improvement on its own? And
That's scary. Because then it's making kind of choices then. It's becoming the lifeguard. It's becoming the water and the Coast Guard.
Yeah. So this is something, I mean, my personal thought is I think this is something we should kind of watch a little bit, and we should make sure that humans always have the sort of like steering wheel and the sort of control over, because like you're saying, it's a kind of a slippery slope before that gets kind of a little weird. But I think that like we can maintain that. We can make sure that we don't let the AI just sort of like keep iterating and improving on its own.
Yeah. And in the end, you can always shut off your computer and phone and go for a walk, huh?
Yes. Yeah, totally.
It's not like it's going to come out and just, slurp you off or something if you're trying to be straight or whatever, and it's a man. I don't even know. Is AI male or female?
I don't think it has a gender.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wonder if it'll decide one day. They'll be like, hey, I'm Frank,
Well, there are companies that try to program the AI to adopt various personas and
oh yeah, I got the Indian GPS guy. Turn right.
like on Meta on like Instagram or whatever, you can get an AI that has Aquafina's voice, for example.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And it's funny. the Aquafina AI is funny.
You're a self-made billionaire, which is pretty fascinating. Congratulations. I think, to have I think that money is energy kind of, and it kind of flows to certain places and stuff. And congratulations. That's got to be fascinating. Was that scary when that kind of happened? That
Yeah.
you just made some money? Was that kind of a scary thing? Did you guys grow up really well? Like, what was that like?
No. I grew up, I think, like solidly middle class. Like we weren't like,
You weren't trapping or anything. You guys
yeah. But like, solidly middle class. And I think like, I mean, one of the crazy things about tech and the tech industry is that, we've been just sort of like building this thing up over time. But one of the things that happened is AI all of a sudden became like, there was so much progress in AI and it became the biggest thing in the world, right? Like, I mean, all of a sudden, anywhere I go, everybody is talking about AI. It didn't used to be like that when I started the company.
Right.
AI was just kind of a niche topic, and now it's like, anywhere you go, like I'll just be walking around and I hear like random conversations about
For sure.
ChatGPT and AI and robots and all this stuff, and so it's kind of been crazy to experience that and be a part of that wave, and kind of like, I started working on this company almost 9 years ago. So it was like, when I started working on it, it was kind of this obscure thing. And, I always knew that it was going to become bigger, but I could have never predicted what was going to happen to AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. It's almost like you were just standing on like the bingo number that got called kind of
Exactly.
by time.
Yeah. And it's surreal. It's
I can-
surreal when that happens.
I can only imagine that. Are your parents pretty proud of you? What's that like?
Yeah. So at first they were like, at first I dropped out of college, right? And
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. And in Asian culture, that's like not a thing you do, right?
Not good. Yeah.
Yeah, that is like the opposite of being Asian.
Well, my parents both have PhDs. I have two older brothers. They both have PhDs. Like everybody in my family they've gone through all of schooling.
Yeah, they're like, Alex is not doing good. No, that might have been Spanish, but they're like, yeah, Alex is not doing good.
Yeah. So they were pretty worried at first. And I kind of, I told them a little bit of a white lie that I was like, oh no, I'm going to go back. I'm going to get this, like tech thing out of my system, and then I'll go back and I'll finish school. Obviously that hasn't happened yet, but yeah, they were worried at first. Now they're super proud. Yeah. They're super duper proud. And I owe everything to my parents, They're awesome. And like, seriously, my parents are super brainy. They're both physicists. They would like teach me about physics growing up and teach me about math, and that's what let me be so good at the competitions.
That's cool. Yeah, I think are your grandparents from China or no?
My grandparents are from China.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does your family have a lot of Chinese culture?
So this is kind of interesting. This is true for a lot of Chinese Americans. Is that there's kind of like there's Chinese culture, and then that's kind of almost like it's very different from the Chinese Communist Party and the current government. Because basically one way to think about China is, I mean, China is a culture and a civilization that's been around for like thousands and thousands of years, right? So there's a very long-standing culture.
Oh yeah.
But that's very different from the current Communist Party and the current communist regime.
Oh, for sure. I think most people probably think of, I mean, I don't know. It's funny. I never thought about that. I definitely think about them as different. I definitely don't think if I see a Chinese person, I don't think, oh, that's a communist person.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that would be, that's crazy. I think that's crazy if some people thought that. I think if somebody has a crazy long history, like, damn. And then maybe almost do you feel like there's some people in certain parts of China are almost like a captured people then? Do you think that's a...
Yeah, I mean, the Uyghurs that we're talking about, I mean, that's just
that's
like horrible what's happening to them.
I didn't even know about that, man. Thanks for putting me up on that Uyghur game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's, I mean, some of this stuff, like, I mean, we don't really, like, first of all, the world is a huge place, and there's like all sorts of both great and bad things happening all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that like, I think a big part of this is like, we want to make sure we have governments that believe in democracy, believe in liberty, these kinds of things.
Yeah. With being somebody that's able to be smart and conceptualize stuff, do you start to do you have any insight? This might be the last question that I have for you. Do you have any insight on like the afterlife or what happens? Like, I never really thought about it for like, talking to like a real math guy about that.
Yeah, I think
Like, what's the total? Like, what's the sum zero game or whatever? You know, what's the?
Yeah. I guess like the way I've always thought about it, because partially because both my parents were physicists, was I kind of always feel like people live on with their ideas and their kind of like what are the things they put out into the world. That's kind of how you live on. Because like in math, like everything you learn about is like a theorem named after a different person, or a sort of idea named after the first mathematician or the first scientist or whatever to figure that out. Like Einstein lives on because
Bagels. That was a shitty joke, but thank you. Because all E equals MC squared, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So
I know what that kind of stuff is. Jesus, sorry, but sorry pretending.
No, exactly. E equals MC squared, that's Einstein. And so I think I always feel like people, you live on by your ideas and kind of what you put out into the world. And that's kind of always how I've thought about it.
So you don't get some deeper thought about like since your brain is able to be, because you have probably a unique brain, right? And more, I mean, and everybody has a unique brain, but I've just never asked somebody I've never asked your brain this question. Yeah, do you get some further insight about like what you think happens when you die, you know?
Well, I think that one of the things that gets talked about a lot in Silicon Valley, where I live especially, is like the simulation, whether it's all simulation and whether like, do you watch Rick and Morty?
I don't watch it, but I'll start.
There's some episodes where it gets into this, and I think it covers it in a pretty good way. But like, what if all of humanity is just almost like an experiment or a video game that some other civilization is running?
Yeah,
that's kind of the one that fucks with particularly like people's mind in tech a lot, because we're like every day, every day, we're out there trying to make computers and make simulations and make things that are like more and more sophisticated and advanced and capable. And so kind of the mind fuck is like, oh, what if everything we know is just kind of a simulation from some other civilization?
Or if we advanced it enough that we're able to make this happen and seem real.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think one of the things that like with AI and with a bunch of other things, like even just in the past like 30, 40 years, video games have gotten so much more realistic, right? Yeah. Crazy realistic.
Yeah.
So we've seen that happen. Like in 100 years, like would we be able to simulate something that feels pretty realistic? I mean, probably.
Right. Could we be avatars?
Yeah.
For some other thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn, dude. I'll say this: my avatar is a pervert, brother. Have you met any guys like Jinsun Huang? Is that his name?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah, totally.
Wow. What is it like when you meet some of these guys? Have you met Elon yet?
Met Elon, yeah. No. Met Elon a few years ago, yeah.
Wow.
Got to know him.
He's turned into
Jensen's the GOAT. Yeah,
Kanye. He is?
He is, yeah. He always wears this leather. You see that leather jacket?
Yeah.
We hosted this dinner.
And Huang, is that a Chinese name?
Huang. Yeah, he's Taiwanese, I think.
Yeah.
Or Taiwanese American. But he in 2018. So when we were like a baby company, we threw this dinner in Silicon Valley, and we just I kind of YOLO invited him. This was years and years ago, and I didn't expect it, but he said yes, and he came to our dinner, and he came. It was like at this restaurant in Silicon Valley, and he came and just told the craziest stories. Wow. He went to boarding school. I think he's probably told this story, but like he went to boarding school, and his parents, when they came to America, they wanted to send him to boarding school, but they didn't. And so they just sent him to like the first boarding school that they like found on Google or something, or like found, there wasn't even Google at the time, so that they like heard about. And that boarding school happened to be kind of like a rehab boarding school. So it was like, he was like this.
So it's a halfway house. He's just sitting there. He's there learning with people who are detoxing.
Yeah, so he told me the story about how he was just like this kid at this boarding school where like everybody else had these like all these crazy backgrounds, and he got by and made his way through that school by doing everyone's math homework and like kind of like wheeling and dealing that way.
Oh yeah.
And you could see that he learned how to like wheel and deal and sell and all this stuff from all the way from way back then, because he was I mean his story is pretty crazy.
Really?
But
We
yeah.
have to research him a little bit. Maybe we would get to talk with him one day.
Yeah. Jensen's awesome. All these people in tech, they're like they're all real people, but they all have the craziest backgrounds. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's just so funny. Whenever I met you, I just didn't know. I figured that since you were with Sam Altman, that you were probably a tech guy, and but yeah, I didn't know. I think maybe somebody said he's in the AI verse, but you just seem like such a totally normal. Like I would not have thought that. You were just, I don't know. I guess sometimes you think like they're gonna be like super quiet or, not have a lot of different thoughts. But yeah, it was cool, man. We had a good time. I'm glad we got to link up.
Yeah, totally.
That was cool, bro. You're probably like you might even be my first Chinese friend. I don't think second, probably Bobby Lee, who's denying it, but he'll come around. Alexandr Wang, man, thank you so much, dude. I bet your whole family's super proud of you. Just excited, man. Thank you for coming and spending time with us and just helping us learn and think.
No, thank you. This was awesome. And I think we were talking about this before, but I just want to make sure that like people all around the world, especially Americans, aren't scared of AI, because it's going to be really cool and it's going to be amazing, but we need to remove the boogeyman component. And thanks for helping me do that.
Yeah, no, man. I think I definitely feel differently about it. I feel like it's a tool that I can use, right? And even I don't know how to use it, so I'm trying to figure out. One more question: how do you keep it from becoming like a advertisement trap house, like the internet's become? Like the internet's just pop-ups and ads and fucking Best Buy trying to like beat you over the head on some shit. Like, how do you stop that? How do you keep that out of like you guys' waters? Or do you have to go there at some point to make money?
Yeah, first, I'm hoping that we like the AI industry as a whole avoids advertising as much as possible, because it's very different. Like it is a tool that people can use, and people can use to start businesses or make movies or make all these like different ideas happen. And I would much rather it be a tool that doesn't get sort of that doesn't become like an advertising thing, versus like I wanted to make sure it's a tool that helps people first and foremost. So that's that. I think there's kind of like a choice here, and we as an AI industry just gotta, I think, make some of the right choices.
Yeah. I think there would be value in staying as pure as you could if you could find a way to, if there's other money to be made on the side. It almost seems sometimes like it could be a trap,
Yeah. And I think that's like I want to make sure that people don't feel like they're being used by the AIs. I think that'd be really bad if we ended up there. So we, and I don't think we need to make it like that at all. Like I think we can make sure the AI is helping you do things, is super helpful, is like a thought partner, is like an assistant. Like those are things that I think we want to make sure AI stays.
Gang, baby. Wang gang, Alexandr Wang, man. Thanks so much, bro.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. Danny Kane, shout out to Danny, who came up. And Danny lives in Franklin, right? We got to get to spend some time with him.
Yeah, lives in Franklin.
Whenever you're out there,
and
boy.
shout out to Alex Brusewitz, who we met through.
Yeah. Who else on your team's here, man, today?
We have Joe Osborne.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we have Danny's whole crew, so Ariane and Clayton. Yeah.
Nice. We'll have to get a group picture. We'll put it up at the end. Thank you guys. Have a good one, man.
I'm just floating on the breeze, and I feel I'm falling like these leaves. I must be cornerstone.